Michelle, we good?
As soon as you're ready, yes.
Okay. You, I'm sorry, you said we're good?
Yes.
Okay. Hey, good morning, everybody. Sorry to be a few minutes late. It's partly for good reason because this has taken a slightly positive turn, although my colleagues will fill in the blank. I'm honored to be joined by my partner in government, Lieutenant Governor Sheila Y. Oliver. We also have the Commissioner of the Department of Transportation, Diane Gutierrez-Cacchetti, Superintendent of the State Police, Pat Callahan, and the President of the Board of Utilities, Joe Fiordaliso. And thank you for joining us on fairly short notice. So we are all continuing to track this latest winter storm, which will impact our state probably, and Diane will probably get into this a little bit more, and Pat, beginning in the wee hours of tomorrow morning and throughout into a good amount of tomorrow. I think this storm, and my colleagues will add color to this, three things have happened between scheduling this call and actually the moment in which we find ourselves. Number one, it's become more of a central and northern event at the expense of the South. Number two, it's coming in a little bit later than we thought, so wee hours versus this evening. And number three, I think, and I hope this is right, not quite as severe. So all counties in that respect, all counties from Mercer and Middlesex north are under a winter storm advisory. We had a handful of counties that had been under a watch. They've been dropped down to an advisory, and the list of counties has expanded. So all counties, Mercer, Middlesex, north. The storm is anticipated to bring up to 6 inches of snow for the northernmost part of the state, with accumulations dropping to an inch or two with a wintry mix as you get toward central New Jersey and the I-195 corridor. Much of the state can expect winds, and Joe will talk about this, gusting as much as up to 35 miles an hour. There is also a real danger from the storm to be expected from ice that could impact all of central and northern Jersey, much more so than South Jersey, before the precipitation turns to rain later on Friday. As with every other winter event, the Department of Transportation has its crews ready to go and is working with its partner agencies and authorities in preparing to meet whatever challenge, whether it be plowing, salting, spreading, or whatever. The same could be said of the state police and their anticipation. At the moment, no state of emergency. And secondly, Diane, I think, is with Pat and others and the Lieutenant Governor war gaming whether or not we want to do something with commercial vehicles. Nothing to report on that yet. But as usual, if we do take a step, we're likely to do it, I would think, Diane, in concert with our neighbors in the Keystone State. Joe and the BPU will be monitoring the power situation and to ensure any electric providers are prepared for any blackouts. I know they will always, as they always do, pre-position their own people. I'm going to be away from the state starting later this afternoon for a meeting of the Democratic Governors Association, but I will remain in close contact with Acting Governor Sheila Oliver. We are prepared, and I know the Acting Governor will make sure that our response is seamless across departments and agencies. Extreme caution will be the watchwords for tonight, really wee hours of the morning into tomorrow, particularly tomorrow morning's commute. If you have the ability to work later than usual or work from home, that's probably a good time to exercise that option tomorrow morning in particular. Again, no state of emergency as of this speaking. Obviously, that's an option we always leave on the table, and I know Sheila and team will continue to assess that. No commercial vehicle ban, but I'll bet you a buck, Diane, that you might be doing something along those lines later. And at the moment, nothing to report on state office hours, but that clearly is an option to open up a little bit later tomorrow. We'll continue to provide updates through the Office of Emergency Management and our other official state channels and social media platforms. Ready.nj.gov is still my favorite all-encompassing place to go. to get information. If you're looking for trains and buses on NJ Transit, it's njtransit.com. With that, I'll turn things over to the Lieutenant Governor for some brief words before we go around to our colleagues. Sheila, great to have you on with us, and thank you for your leadership as always, in particular during this storm. Over to you. You're on mute, Sheila, there.
Thank you, Governor. And as always, we're pleased that, you are providing the residents of New Jersey with the most up-to-date information that we have. I think I just would point to what you have said about an ice condition for many of us in the northern part of the state, and we will keep an eye on that. We'd like to urge everyone to continue to monitor their local weather stations. And if they're driving early in the wee hours of the morning, please be conscious that there could potentially be ice in your area. But we will give you updates, as the governor has said. Our team will be working and focusing on weather conditions that will potentially hit us in New Jersey. And you can be assured that our teams are ready to go to respond wherever we're needed.
Thank you, Sheila. I would echo your comment on ice, particularly tomorrow morning's commute. I think you and I both think that's probably the moment of biggest challenge. Sheila, thank you again for your leadership as always.
Thank you.
And with that, Sheila and I will welcome to the podium the Commissioner of the Department of Transportation, Diane, for her first storm briefing. Her first storm briefing today. Commissioner Diane Gutierrez-Scacchetti.
Thank you, Governor. Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. Again, this is a reminiscent of so many storms we've had this year where ice is playing a significant part in the weather. And so we at DOT have had our planning calls. We are out there this morning applying brine in the central northern part of the state in order to do our best to assure smooth traveling, but nothing is fail-safe. We have our crews that will be in beginning later today, preparing to drop salt and plow as necessary. But the key facts have been provided. We're in for bad weather. To the extent you don't have to be out, please don't. We have had in most recent storms, we have had some of our plows hit. So we will remind you again, please do not try to pass a plow team. It is very dangerous for you as well as for our drivers, and they cannot always see you. So please be incredibly careful as you see them out there, really trying to make the road safe for all of you. Again, this will probably start late, very late tonight, very early tomorrow morning. Icing is our biggest concern. Here at the DOT, we tell people we take a 10-inch snowstorm over ice. It's just so much harder for us to deal with. So we just ask everybody to be incredibly careful. If you don't need to be out, just wait it out. This is a relatively short storm. By tomorrow afternoon, things should improve. But at least for the overnight into the morning commute, things will be messy. And so we just want to make sure that you give us room to do our job. Please, please, please remember to move over. If you see an incident on the side of the road and our partners at New Jersey State Police or our towing operators or our SSP, our patrols are out there working, please slow down. We've already lost too many just this year. And so we can only ask you again and again and again to obey the move over law. Colonel Callahan and his team are busy with a lot of assists. We need everybody to pitch in here to make sure everybody goes home every night. And that is the motto at DOT. Everybody goes home every night. So stay safe. Gov gave you njtransit.com if you use public transit to check in with them. And other than that, Gov, I think it's our same story. And we will be prepared to support our good friend, President Fiordaliso, with winds and icing. The DOT's got your back, and we'll be ready to clear trees and make sure you have a path to restore power.
Diane, thank you. Parameters in terms of timing, would you agree with this? Wee hours tomorrow morning, sort of midnight to 2, beginning, ending sort of mid-afternoon tomorrow. Is that reasonable?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Okay. Diane, thank you as always for everything. Please, Sheila and I want to welcome Superintendent and Colonel Pat Callahan to the virtual podium. Pat.
Thank you, Governor and Lieutenant Governor. Good morning, everybody. And I always appreciate the Commissioner reminding everybody about that move over law, which came into existence because of the tragic loss of one of our troopers, Trooper Castellano. So thank you for that, Commissioner. Yeah, another storm, Gov, with regard to the timing of this, another morning commute type storm, which we'll be watching. I always urge folks to check 511nj.org if they have to go out there. That's a great place to see all current traffic activity throughout the entire state. We will have a 1 o'clock call this afternoon with all of our county OEM and state emergency management partners, along with the National Weather Service. Our state police OEM regional reps will be embedded in all of the emergency operations centers throughout those counties that activate, particularly those probably north of 195, north of Mercer. And our state emergency operations center will be monitoring this and activated as well to handle any resource requests. So again, another somewhat of a quick hitter, but the time with the morning commute obviously gives us concern with regards to accidents as well as motorist aids. And I'll just close with this, Gov, just as a reminder, and I think our brothers and sisters in the fire departments across the state would appreciate it. We basically had a 40-degree temperature drop in the last 24 hours to below freezing. And considering the recent deadly fires in both Philadelphia and the Bronx, if folks have to use space heaters, they need to use them wisely, not put anything on them, keep them 3 feet away from anything, and be sure that everybody's smoke detectors have new and operating batteries in there so they don't have to experience another tragedy like we've seen over the past month. So we'll be ready, Governor. And like I said, our troopers and OEM partners throughout the state are situated and poised as usual. Thanks, Gov.
Pat, thank you. Does this sound about what you're hearing? I know you're going to get more updates from the National Weather Service. Diane and I discussed wee hours into early to mid-afternoon, central and northern reality, much more so than in the south. Not only coming in later, a little bit better. So we've got warnings on counties from Mercer, Middlesex, North, not any watches. Could be up to 6 still in the north and northwest. Does all that sound right to you based on what you're seeing?
That all sounds correct. I do think that, as you said, that greatest risk of hazardous weather is north and west of the I-95 corridor. So but we'll watch it adjust, and as it tracks, we'll be in lockstep with the National Weather Service throughout this afternoon and this evening, and we'll those updates accordingly.
Thank you, Pat. Joe, up to gusts of up to 35 with ice. Sounds like a bad cocktail for outages. What are you hearing from the electric service providers, and any words of wisdom? Thanks.
Thank you, Governor and Lieutenant Governor. We've been in contact with all of the utilities, and again, they have their independent meteorologists, as you know, and they concur with what has already been said by the Colonel and by the Commissioner. And it looks like the northwestern part of the state, according to them, is going to get hit, which means probably JCP&L and a portion of public service. But you're right, Governor, when you have ice and wind, branches break, branches fall down on power lines, ice accumulates on power lines, and we could have some outages. I would just like to remind everyone again, as we always do, if those winds go above 40 miles an hour, the men and women of the utilities cannot go up in those buckets to repair power lines. It's too dangerous for them, and we certainly don't want to lose anyone. And safety has to be the number one priority. So it's important to be patient. Also, please, if you lose power, in the past few storms, I might add, with all of the enhancements to the infrastructure, Governor, that you have promoted, the number of outages has been minimal in comparison to previous storms. But if you do lose power, please notify your utility. And it's they don't know that you've lost power unless you tell them. and don't assume your neighbor called. You call.
Yep.
And I just want to echo what everyone else said. If you don't have to travel with ice, and I agree with you, Diane, I'd rather snow than ice. But you know, we deal with the cards that were dealt or that are being dealt, and we work so cooperatively together. DOT helping us, Colonel helping us, and us trying to ensure the fact that people have power and heat. And let's just end, Governor, if I may, on a positive note. Spring is only a month away.
Amen. Even less so. I want Sheila started the mantra on ice in this call, and she's absolutely right. Each of us have picked up that baton. Be careful both with your power. If it goes out, don't assume somebody's calling in. Please, you call it in. And secondly, certainly if you see a down power line, don't go anywhere near it. Call that in as well. And the other admonition, if you don't have to commute in the morning, tomorrow's a good one to sit out. So on behalf of the Lieutenant Governor and myself, to our colleagues, thank you. Michelle, we'll take maybe one or two quick questions. I know we're on the clock from anybody, and prefer it if they're on topic. And otherwise, we'll be back to you, I'm sure, soon and often as it relates to the press.
Okay, looks like we have one question from Alex Zidane.
From whom?
Alex Zidane.
Hey, Alex.
Good morning, Governor. Governor, I'd like to ask you about your decision to go to the governor's meeting. Obviously, there's no dispute that you can remain in contact with your team via phone and email, much like Governor Christie did when he went out of state during his governorship. But you leaving right before a major storm bears down on this state, is that proving exactly what your critics have said, that by focusing on this governor's association role, that you will have less ability to focus on your job as governor of New Jersey?
I'm shocked that you'd ask that question, Alex. Couple of things. First of all, that's not a decision you take lightly. I think largely due to the pandemic, I've been in state over the past couple of years. I think over any 2-year period, somebody should look this up more than any other governor in our modern history. Number one. Number two, you make a decision to travel very clearly based on the facts at the moment. There's no one blanket reality. I'm going to be on the East Coast, and as you rightfully point out, it is very easy to stay in touch with the lieutenant governor or acting governor and our colleagues. But most importantly, far most importantly, the best decision in government I ever made was to ask Sheila Oliver to be my partner and lieutenant governor. And when I'm on a state, we have an absolute rock star acting governor who has seen it all, has been there, and knows exactly what to do in a situation like this. So the combination of being in close touch, being in the same time zone, and having an incredible acting governor gives me a whole lot of comfort. And again, we take these decisions very seriously. We take them on a case-by-case basis. And New Jersey's could not be in better hands in terms of Sheila Oliver as acting governor. So with that, on behalf of the lieutenant governor, soon to be acting governor, Commissioner of the Department of Transportation, Diane Gutierrez-Scacchetti, Colonel Pat Callahan, President Joe Fiordaliso, on behalf of Sheila Y. Oliver and myself, stay safe, everybody. Again, this is one, particularly for the morning commute, is a good one to sit out. If we've got any more news in terms of commercial vehicle restrictions, late openings, any other steps we'll take, Sheila and team will be getting that back to you. In the meantime, God bless you all and be well. Take care.
Thank you, Governor.